You walk into a room for the very first time, but you get this powerful, nagging feeling you've been there before. It's that strange wave of certainty that you've lived this exact moment the way the light is hitting the floor. A faint scent in the air, the specific words someone is about to say. This feeling has a name, déjà vu. The term is French for already seen, and for centuries, people have tried to explain it, attributing it to everything from past lives to psychic visions. It's a pretty common phenomenon. Studies suggest somewhere between 60 to 80% of us have experienced it. It's a fleeting glitch in our perception of reality that can feel profound, almost supernatural. But what if it's not a message from another dimension? What if, instead, déjà vu is a fascinating window into the intricate and sometimes messy workings of our own minds? Today, we're taking a look deep inside the brain, specifically the temporal lobe. To uncover the leading scientific ideas for this powerful illusion, we'll explore how a tiny delay in processing, a moment of distraction, or a minor electrical misfire can create one of the most perplexing feelings we can have. This isn't about the paranormal. This is about the profound, complex science of you. To really get a handle on déjà vu, we first need to visit the part of the brain where the magic and the misfires happen. The temporal lobe. It's tucked behind your temples on both sides of your head. This region is the bustling command center for memory, emotion, and tying our senses together. Think of it as the brain's master librarian, responsible for creating, storing, and retrieving the huge catalog of your life's experiences. At the heart of this operation are two key players. First is the hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped structure that is absolutely critical for forming new long-term memories. When you learn a new fact or just remember what you had for breakfast, your hippocampus is hard at work encoding that information. The second is the amygdala, the brain's emotional hub. It attaches emotional weight to your memories, which is why some moments feel charged with joy, fear, or nostalgia. Working with them are other important areas that help signal familiarity and weave sensory details, sights, sounds, and smells into our memories. Déjà vu seems to pop up from a brief, momentary hiccup within this incredibly complex system. It's not a sign that your memory is broken. Instead, it's more like a momentary mix-up in the dance between recognizing something as familiar and actually pulling up the specific memory that goes with it. One of the most widely accepted theories for déjà vu is called dual processing. Normally, your brain processes information in one smooth, seamless flow, creating a single, unified perception of right now. Information from your senses zips through different pathways and arrives at the brain's processing centers in perfect sync. But this theory suggests that déjà vu happens when that perfect timing stumbles for just a second. Imagine two signals that are supposed to arrive at the same time. Now picture one of them being delayed by just a few milliseconds. Your brain gets that first signal and processes the moment as the present. But when the second, slightly late signal shows up, the brain mistakenly logs it as a separate, older event. Because it's identical to the moment you just experienced, it feels intensely familiar, like a memory. It's kind of like watching a movie where the sound is out of sync with the video. You see someone's lips move, and then a fraction of a second later you hear their voice. Your brain knows something is off. In the same way, this split-second desynchronization creates a powerful feeling of recollection, but with no actual memory to back it up. That leaves you with that classic, unsettling feeling of having already seen it. Have you ever walked into a room completely focused on your phone, only to look up a moment later and feel a jolt of déjà vu? The divided attention theory might explain that. It proposes that déjà vu can happen when our attention is split, causing us to not consciously register our surroundings at first. According to this idea, even when your mind is focused on one thing, like a text message, your brain is still quietly taking in information from your peripheral senses. You might not be aware that you're seeing the layout of the room, but your brain is processing it in the background, just below the level of consciousness. Then your attention shifts. You look up and consciously take in the room for what feels like the first time. But because your brain already created a faint, subconscious perception of it moments earlier, the scene feels strangely familiar. You get that feeling of recognition, but have no explicit memory of why, because you weren't paying full attention the first time around. It's not that you've been there before in a past life. You were there a few seconds ago, but your conscious mind was just looking the other way. If you've ever had a déjà vu experience so vivid it made you stop and wonder, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And while you're there, if you find this journey into the mind as fascinating as I do, think about subscribing for more explorations into the mysteries of the brain. Your stories and support help us keep these conversations going. Our brains have an incredibly sophisticated filing system for memories. Usually, new experiences are held in short-term memory before being transferred over to long-term storage. But what if a new memory accidentally took a shortcut? That's the core idea behind another compelling theory of déjà vu. This theory suggests that, sometimes, a brand new experience might bypass the usual short-term memory circuits and get sent straight into the long-term memory system. It's like if you were saving a new document on your computer. You meant to save it in your recent folder, but a small glitch sent it directly into the deep archives. When you go to look for it a second later, your computer tells you it's an old archived file, even though you just created it. The brain might be doing something similar. When a new perception is mistakenly filed away as a long-term memory, your brain's attempt to process it as a present event creates a conflict. Your conscious mind knows this is happening right now, but your memory system is yelling, "I've seen this. This is an old memory." This neurological crosswiring would perfectly explain the central paradox of déjà vu, the feeling that a new event is somehow a memory from the distant past. The connection between déjà vu and temporal lobe epilepsy gives us some of the most concrete evidence for where it comes from. For many people with this condition, an intense wave of déjà vu isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's an aura, a distinct warning sign that a seizure is about to start. These seizures are caused by abnormal, storm-like bursts of electrical activity in the temporal lobe, the very region we've identified as the center for memory and familiarity. This strong link suggests that what most of us experience as a brief, harmless moment of déjà vu could be a much milder version of the same thing, a tiny, fleeting electrical misfire in the temporal lobus circuits. In a healthy brain, this misfire is like a quick flicker of a light bulb that corrects itself almost instantly. In the brain of someone with epilepsy, that same flicker can escalate into a full-blown electrical storm. By studying patients with epilepsy, neuroscientists have even been able to stimulate specific parts of the brain and actually trigger the sensation of déjà vu. These studies confirm that the feeling is rooted in the physical and electrical workings of the brain, not in something supernatural. It shows that déjà vu is a real neurological event, one that highlights the delicate timing required for our perception of reality to stay stable. So it's not just about wiring. The brain's chemistry plays a part too. Its chemical messengers, or neurotransmitters, are also involved, and one in particular has been linked to déjà vu: dopamine. Dopamine is often called the feel-good neurotransmitter, but it also helps stimulate brain activity. Research suggests that higher levels of dopamine can make the neurons in our memory centers more excitable, increasing the chance of those little glitches that cause déjà vu. This is backed up by some fascinating case studies. For instance, there are documented cases where patients taking certain medications that act on the dopamine system started having frequent, intense episodes of déjà vu. In one well-known case, a man was experiencing it several times an hour. When he stopped the medication, the episodes stopped completely. This adds another layer to our understanding. It suggests our susceptibility to déjà vu can be influenced by our brain's chemistry at any given moment. Anything that affects our dopamine levels could make us more or less prone to experiencing this strange intersection of past and present. While many of us experience déjà vu, it doesn't affect us all equally. Researchers have found a few factors that correlate with how often we feel it. One of the most consistent findings is that déjà vu is most common in young people, especially between the ages of 15 and 25. The thinking is that, because the brain is still developing, its memory systems are highly active and may be a bit more prone to these small errors. As we get older, déjà vu tends to happen less often. Stress and fatigue also play a big part. When you're tired or stressed, your brain's cognitive processes just don't work as efficiently. That exhaustion can make your brain more likely to have the glitches that trigger déjà vu. Think of a tired office worker misfiling a document. A fatigued brain is simply more likely to make a small mistake. Interestingly, studies also show a link to certain lifestyles. People who travel a lot, have higher levels of education, and tend to remember their dreams are more likely to report déjà vu. While the exact reasons aren't fully understood, it suggests that minds that are highly engaged, or processing new environments, might create more opportunities for these fascinating memory illusions to happen. Given how strange and disorienting it can be, it's natural to wonder if déjà vu is a bad sign. For the vast majority of people, the answer is a clear no. In fact, some neuroscientists argue that a typical déjà vu experience is actually a sign of a healthy brain. Here's why. The experience isn't just the feeling of familiarity. It's the mental clash between that feeling and your rational knowledge that the situation is new. This conflict is handled by the frontal regions of your brain, which act as a fact-checker. When the temporal lobe sends out a faulty familiarity signal, the frontal lobe checks it against your actual memories. When it finds no match, it flags the experience as weird and incorrect. So that strange feeling is your brain's fact-checking system working perfectly, catching an error before you accidentally form a false memory. But while most déjà vu is harmless, it's worth knowing the difference between a normal experience and one that might be a sign of a problem. Normal déjà vu is brief, happens infrequently, and comes with no other symptoms. The warning signs for something more serious include experiencing it very frequently or for long periods, or if it's accompanied by other symptoms like confusion, a racing heart, or intense fear. In those rare cases, it's always a good idea to seek medical advice. From a simple processing delay to a tiny electrical surge, the science of déjà vu gives us a compelling look into the astonishing complexity of our own minds. While ideas of parallel universes are intriguing, the reality of what's happening inside our heads is, in many ways, even more remarkable. All of these theories, dual processing, divided attention, memory glitches point to the same conclusion. Déjà vu is not a paranormal event, but a brain event. Science may not have a single, definitive answer just yet, but what we do know is that this strange feeling is often a sign that our brain's intricate systems for perception and memory are working, monitoring themselves and even catching their own mistakes. It's a harmless, if unsettling, reminder that our seamless perception of reality is a biological masterpiece that occasionally and beautifully reveals its own imperfections. What's the most powerful déjà vu experience you've ever had? Share your story in the comments below. I'd love to read about how it felt for you. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the mysteries of the mind. Thanks for watching.